Alex P with Gateside Press, and I'm here with Abdul-Kareem Al-Selwady, who's coming off a title win at Fury FC 75. Abdul, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Thank you so much. Excited to be here. We always talk after some big wins, so it's a nice ritual to have. And yeah, I'm feeling great, man. Thank you.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, I'm happy to be talking with you again, man. It's been about 2 weeks since your big win. How are you feeling?
Man, I'm feeling great. I like to give everything my 100%. When it's training camp, I like to go 100% in training. When it's time to fight week, I give it my 100% in fight week. And then when the fight is over, I like to, there's so much you sacrifice in fight camp and things, and now I have a family. So I like to just kind of take care of my family and do things. But it was really weird this fight. Usually I want to break from MMA and I want to like avoid doing MMA. Now, aside from being a fighter, I'm also an athlete. Like I love training. But usually after a fight right away, I want to take a break from the actual grind, from hitting and jiu-jitsu and wrestling and sparring. I just want to stay fit, do my own training. But this fight was different. I went 5 rounds. It was a tough fight, tough opponent. But I went back to the gym 2 days later on Monday, and until now, I haven't skipped any training. So I've been consistent in training in MMA training. Now I'm always consistent in training in general, but I usually like to take a full week off of MMA. I did not do that this time, and it feels weird because I'm always more excited to spar right now. Like I want to spar, and I'm just like, okay, I'm going with it. Like, all right, I'm making sure I'm doing my recovery, but I think that's a good thing. I think the more and more that I've been fighting throughout my career, it's just become more of a normal thing, and than if it is of a big event of my life. Like in the beginning of my career, each fight, until now, I was like I could remember each and every day of the 3 months leading up to that fight. Right now, I kind of like it just feels like it's a daily thing, and that's not a bad thing. Like that doesn't mean that I'm not giving fighting any like as much importance. It just becomes such a lifestyle that it's not a big event anymore. Like you're gonna train 2, 3 times a day right now because that's just what you do.
Hmm.
It's not like about just the glory and like I don't know how to explain it to you, but it's fighting has just become so much more of a normal thing than it is of like a big deal in like okay, like 29 days left, 28 days left, 27 days left. It's such a normal thing. Like just how you show up to sparring every week. I kind of show up to my fights kind of feeling the same way where some people that don't really know me are like, "Hey, are you okay? Like are you excited to fight this week? You kind of seem off." And I'm like, "No, I'm actually super focused. It's just I'm just going to go out there and put in my work, and it's been working, for my last fights. It's been working. So I want to kind of keep that going. And to be honest with you, I feel like I want to take all this experience that I've learned and apply it to my UFC fights, because when you get in the UFC, these fights are not going to be easy. I mean, we all know the fights, like any fighter in the UFC, to be in the UFC is going to be a tough fighter. So I want to take all that experience that I've learned over the last few years of just not making everything a big deal and just focus on the present moment and just kind of do that there. And I think if I could do that, then I would do very, very well.
Awesome, man. I want to go back to your fight. It's been, it's been a little bit. Now that you've had some time to reflect on it, how do you feel about your performance?
I actually feel really good. I usually don't watch my fights except for once, maybe twice after, but this is probably the most fight that I've ever watched. And because I was like really being hard on myself and looking, where did I make any mistakes? Where could I have done better? Because why did this guy last 5 rounds with me? Like, why? Why did I not finish him? Like, I was very happy with the win, obviously, but I'm like, I know myself and I know the hard work I put in the room. I'm like, what did I do that made this guy survive? Like, yeah, he's tough, and a lot of people are tough, but still, I want to end my opponents. And I feel really good. And he was a very tough opponent, and I worked and I drilled on all the things that I could have done better. But I'm really happy with my performance as well. There's a lot of moments in the fight where there was not much thinking. It was just all, just going through the motions that you do daily in the gym. Like, there were some takedowns, like there were some scrambles that were just so quick that there was no time to think. And I was happy to see that my body in default mode, when I don't have time to think, is doing the right things. You know, certain takedowns, certain scrambles, certain ways where I move my body in like high pace when I'm like super tired or breathing heavy. I was happy with that. So now lots of fighters say, I have the cardio to do this, I have the cardio to do that. And everyone always said I had a high pace and I have high cardio, but in the back of my mind, I never knew how I actually would deal with the 5-round fight. I fought 5-round fights before, but I've never reached the fifth round. Like, all my title fights were done in the first round. So to actually go out there and keep a high pace from the beginning till the end, it made me very happy and more confident in my conditioning and my cardio and my strength than I ever was before. And that's just going to motivate me to train even harder, you know?
What was the game plan going into the fight?
So the game plan going into this fight was, this opponent throws lots of heavy hands, and specifically he throws heavy right hands. So the game plan was very obvious, and I knew it was going to be obvious moving into the first round, but there's nothing he could do to stop it. The game plan was basically take him down and just, keep hurting him and move to the right when you're on the stand-up. So you could see when the fight starts, like the whole fight, I'm moving to the right, moving to the right. And then if you look into details of when he would throw the strikes, because my steps to the right, they would always land like right by my left ear or on my like left shoulder. So if I haven't taken those steps to the right, they would have come right at me. And then he's very aggressive, but I knew he wasn't going to fight like he does in his last fights, because I'm sure he watched my tape. He didn't come out guns blazing like he does with his other opponents. He was more patient with me, and that required me to be more patient with him, because usually I don't wait either. So I was basically doing a lot of feints, because I know that he knows I'm going to take him down. So I'm sure he's waiting for me to come in so he could hit. So I just kept feigning to expose, and every time I would feint, he would throw. Every time I would feint, he would throw, and that made me happy, because, even when you know the danger that's coming, at least you're happy because that's what's coming.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd feint, and then as soon as I could feel he's gonna overextend, I'd go under and I'd take him down, and it worked perfectly. Just took me like a first, minute in the first round or two to just kind of find that range, because he's 6 foot, and there's a lot of guys that you work on that range, but you can't really feel it until you're in there. So until I found my range, then after that, there was no failed takedown attempt. Every time I shot for a takedown, he was going down. And but I was really surprised with his strength and his like ability to like get out of submissions. Like, I had him in a couple submissions and I was like, that's it, and I'm the type that doesn't give any submission 100% unless I know it's locked in. I had him in like a triangle choke, and I seen the referee's legs get close, and he was talking, saying like, are you awake? And every time, a referee would do anything like that, I start squeezing even more. I'm like, you're right there. You can't let go. You can't let go. You still have 2 rounds after this. You can't let go, because then your arms are going to be dead. And then he came out, and I was like, well, it is what it is, dead or not dead. Like, I liked in the video when I saw that, because I remember the feeling of my arms. I remember talking to myself in my head, you have to squeeze so hard, because if he gets out of this, then that's it. Like, that's not good. There's still 2.5 rounds, And then as soon as, like in video, as soon as he escaped, I took his back and started hitting him even more, and took his back, flying him out. And it showed that there was no pause. It showed that there was no fatigue. But I remember, like, there was actual physical fatigue, but my mind was not going to give up.
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, man, you were close to finishing the fight a couple times. It just kind of shows how tough the other guy was, man. Last thing about the fight, how did it feel becoming a champion? I know that you've won titles in other organizations, but on UFC Fight Pass, big Fury FC, how'd that feel?
Man, it felt great. I had a big like following come over here, watch the fight. So, it's like what's nicer than winning a world title, in your hometown with in front of all your family and friends and sponsors and like when you get sponsors and you make promises and stuff and they see all that potential in you, you want to showcase that in front of them. And I was really happy to do so. And now, everyone everywhere I go, like literally I look right, I look left, like everyone's like, so when's the UFC? So when's the UFC? So for me, winning that world title, like, it's just like, all right, guys, come on, like, what else? Like, I'm ready to go more than ever. I'm turning 28 in 2 months. So it's like I'm in my prime right now. Like I'm literally opening the door of my prime and I'm ready to go.
Yeah, so I mean that is the question. Perfect world. What's next for you, man?
Perfect world, I get signed like right now, and I fight in May, mid-May. I don't know if UFC is still going to Abu Dhabi every year, but perfect world would be fight in May, make a big statement, and then fight again in September or so in Abu Dhabi. Because if you think I have a big following here, I have even a bigger following there. And I have some like crazy loyal people that would travel with me anywhere I go, like Vegas, Abu Dhabi, you name it. Like any card, I have people that are gonna go there and come and support. So I feel like I check all the boxes for a potential UFC star. You know, I'm not just some random Arab, that's like from the Middle East. I I mean, over here in the States, I got a lot of people everywhere. No matter where I go, they're gonna be there. So, I believe that they could market the hell out of me, and I'm not just gonna be out there just yelling some random things. So, I believe like I could do really good to the UFC, and bring something different for them.
Are you are you
You're gonna quote that. I have a feeling you're gonna quote that. It's okay. I think that's a good quote.
I mean it's
I'm not just some random Arab.
I mean it's a fucking perfect quote if you ask me. Oh my god, I wasn't expecting that. Are you, you know, if the UFC does not call right away, are you ready to go to the contender series?
You see, I don't like to think about that because if I do, that means I'm already like thinking that's where I'm gonna go when I accept that. I like to think, one step at a time. So for me, it's like, why rush something if I'm saying I want to fight, like really in a perfect world, I want to fight in May. Why would I rush making that decision right now in March, about fighting contender series, which is usually in July, June, July, August, September. I don't know exactly the dates, but like why if I want to fight like at an earlier date in May and it's still March, I don't want to get there yet.
Hmm.
And to be honest, like it's like there's a like the more time passes, the less things excite me. Like every fighter dreams of like their UFC debut, just how explosive it's gonna be, and just how So I want to keep that vision still there. I want to, how you imagine how getting signed and like getting signed and getting a fight. I like that. You know, more than like just hey guys, guess what? I'm fighting in the UFC in 3 days, or like I like that. I like that build up kind of. So I believe 14-3, lots of finishes. I just looked. Someone sent me my topology the other day randomly, and I had looked at it, and it had like rankings like one Southwest, something, one Texas, like in the Middle East. Like it was like all high rankings. And I was like, okay, so if like a matchmaker sees this, they should be like, okay, this guy's legit, you know? And I know I'm legit. So if they look at my social media, they'll be like, okay, so this guy has, you know, he people like him, you know? They see the things that I post, like, okay, he's active and he's always out there. So it's like, what is it? You know, I can speak English too. So that's the thing is, I was born and raised here. You know, I was born and raised here. I don't know what it is. I just fought in the Middle East for a good while, just because the organizations I was signed to were based there.
And and I'm not just saying this because I'm talking with you, but man, but like I feel like the UFC should, be dialing you any second, man. Like you said,
Yeah,
you speak well, you fight well, you have a big following, you're good on social media, like you finish fights, you're from a good gym. Like what else? What the fuck else, you know?
exactly. I mean, they know. I mean, they know, and they know I won the title, you know. So it's not like they don't know who I am, and you know they've never heard of me, and that's why I'm not in. So I don't know. I don't have the answer because I actually don't know. So when people ask me why aren't you in, I'm like, well, you please tell me because I don't know. So I don't know why I'm not in, but I can tell you this is I'm ready, and when that call comes, I'm not gonna say no. You know what I mean? So I'm ready for anything, you know, that they have to offer, and I'm just believing, you know, and that's me staying positive, and I'm actually believing that is all of this is just gonna make the build up even better, you know. So you know, instead of going in there and then going maybe you know winning, losing, you know, I'm ready to just go on a streak over there and just like take over, you know. Like when people watch my fights, they'll be like, "Whoa, where did this guy come from?" So you know, because I fight with passion and high energy. Like I've never had a boring fight. Even when I lost, it was never a boring fight. And it never will be because I don't know how to fight boring. Like when I did jiu-jitsu competitions and some things, when I would be on mount and then people tell me like, "Okay, stop, like you're winning." I'd somehow get myself back into their guard to like pass and smash and do all that and get like another 8 points in the process cuz I get bored. I don't know if it's ADHD or what it is, like I just get bored if like the fight is not exciting. Like so I fight my heart out in there and I enjoy it. So like, you know, the fans are gonna enjoy my fights, the UFC is gonna enjoy my fights. It's just a win-win for everyone. And my goal is to have as many fight night bonuses, as many as I have wins in the UFC. That's my goal. Like that's something I want to have as a goal, you know?
Um, if Sean Shelby's watching this interview, what's your message to him?
Hey Sean, I mean, I've done everything I believe that you know you would want for a fighter to sign him. You know, I proved everything, so you know, just give me my chance so I could actually prove it to you in the UFC.
Mm,
I'm ready.
I love it. I love it. And finally, man, I guess what are some goals that you're setting for yourself? Obviously, you want to be in the UFC by this year, but like, what are some other goals that you're setting for yourself?
My first goal is to get in the UFC and get my first win. After that, it's to be on like a 3 fight win streak. After that, it's to enter the top 15, top 10, and then make my way to the championship. Like I have it set in goals that I could reach step by step. And then, you know, having 3, 4 fights a year, you know, I want to be very active when I'm in there, you know, having 3, 4 fights a year, growing not only as a fighter, but I would really want to grow with the UFC organization company as like an analyst or like you know on the desk. That's something I really I'm good at. So aside from being a fighter, I don't know, maybe have my own cooking show or something. Like I love to cook as well. Maybe I could join Dana White on his Fuck It Friday type. I mean, you never know. Like there's a lot of things I can do and I'm good at and I have passion for aside from fighting physically itself. But I want to be around MMA all my life and my goal is when I entered the UFC is to just keep stacking up my wins until the championship, and then when the time comes, I could control my own retirement and not have to, I never want to get cut from the UFC. I never want to retire because I have to physically or medically. So that's the goal is, to enter and exit on your own terms, do good really. Like I want the UFC to like positively impact my life and the people around me, because I say this and some people don't really understand when I say this, is that fighting makes me a better person. The more I'm actually fighting MMA, the better person I am, because I'm a person with a lot of energy, and like I have to do something. Like I always need something big and scary in front of me so I could actually be focused. When I don't have fights, when that high of winning a fight runs off, which could take like literally 10 days or a week, you start feeling like kind of lost, like what am I going to do? And, but when I have a fight, it's not just me focused on the fight. I love to help people. I love to cook for people. It's like, I like to do good because I believe in that, like that when you do good to people, God is going to bring it back to you. So obviously when you're getting ready for a fight, the biggest thing you're thinking about is winning. So you try to do good as much as you can, donating and like even like slaughtering lambs and then giving out the meat to like poor people and feeding the homeless. Like there's a lot of that stuff that I do that I don't really post on social media, because that I want to be sincere 100%. So I'm not trying to brag about it. I'm not trying to tell people, but that's a lot of the process that goes into all of my training camps, is doing this good for people. And usually you're more focused on doing good when when you're like waiting for something big to happen. So I like those hard fights to keep coming so I could stay a better person myself.
Awesome. Awesome. Abdul, thank you so much for your time, man. I really appreciate it. Um, if you want to plug your social media, plug any sponsors you may have, and if you want to thank anybody, the floor is yours.
Of course, I want to thank all the viewers for watching this, because you are the guys that could make this explode, or you could just not like and not comment and just pass off, like exit the video right now. So I appreciate you guys for watching the whole video, and I'd appreciate for you guys to like comment and like and share this video, because people like Alex, they encourage to do more videos and more interviews when you guys share it. Appreciate you all for watching, and thank you guys. You could follow me and my journey at Selwady MMA on Instagram, and that's SELWADY MMA at gmail. Sorry, that's never mind. Selwady MMA on Instagram.